Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let's Recharge, where we are truly recharging together. No, it feels like I've been away for a while, and I'm like, I know I haven't, but I feel like that. Miss you guys. How is everybody doing out there? Everybody's doing good? Yeah, I'm doing okay. This doctoral program, I tell you, sometimes it has me in a chokehold, but we are we're making some things happen. Okay. So again, welcome to Let's Recharge. I'm so grateful that you chose to be with me for a few moments as we, give you a little snippet about something else that we need to be working on. It's just people of God, right? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel, Let's Recharge, where we are recharging all the way together, y'all. I have been reading some of the comments. I have been reading some emails that I've gotten and just some communications. And I tell you, I am so grateful to have a following that really care about their mental health as we travel on this Christian journey, right? And I am grateful for the kudos that I've gotten. I'm grateful for how I have helped in talking about some very important subjects. I'm just grateful for you guys, and I want to be able to give you all of the information that you want. Because one thing about it, I am not a gatekeeper, and I mean, I'm a gatekeeper to an extent, let's say that in certain things. But when it comes down to our mental health, I'm not a gatekeeper. I am here and willing to help anybody at any way I can. So let's talk about today. What we're going to be talking about is something that I think many clergy struggle with. Our pastors, even people in just leadership roles in the church, period. We struggle with it. And just on the flip side, right? Being a manager at a local facility here in the city of Columbus, in the state of Ohio, right? Even me as a therapist who works as a manager, right? We struggle. I'm a treatment center director, and I even struggle with this very important subject that we're going to be talking about. So we're going to be talking about self-care. Self-care, right? There was something that I kind of grew up hearing, and it simply means don't be so heavenly bound that you are no earthly good, right? Let's sit there for a minute. Let's sit there. Don't be so heavenly bound that you are no earthly good. And I think a lot of that comes from really being able to take care of yourself and learning how to digress and step away, right? It doesn't mean that you love God any less. It doesn't mean because even Jesus rested, y'all, even God rested, right? And we get into this way where we think that we have to be the ones to fix everything. And I'm gonna tell you something, I'm preaching to myself. I don't need nobody to tell me about me, right? Especially with individuals who are like me, right? It's not that I'm the only one that can get it right, but if I want it right, I'm going to be the one to do it. And sometimes having that attitude can be more of a hindrance to you as a human, right? Because what we're doing, even with this YouTube channel, is really normalizing mental health and normalizing, just some things we have to, as pastors and church leaders, we have to take ourselves down off that pedestal that people have put us up on. Because I hate to hear when, especially If I go to a hospital and I visit somebody and they're expecting the pastor, but you got me and you think that that's not good enough, right? You want the pastor, but even the pastor has to rest. And I think we really miss that. And I think pastors itself or hisself, herself, we miss it. And then also our congregations, they miss it that we are pastors. I'm gonna give you an example. I was doing my initial sermon eons ago, right? Years ago. And my pastor at the time, he came to me and he told me far in advance, right? First of all, he told me far in advance. He said, "This is the same day as my daughter's cheerleading competition. I am going to be there, but I am going to be late." And I totally understood that, right? Because what he said to me was, the hierarchy of God, right? The hierarchy on how we're supposed to put things in perspective. It goes, God is first. Then comes family. How about that? I'm getting to the self-care because God is first. Then comes your family. Your family is your first ministry, y'all. Then the church. Ooh. So how many of us have we were well I this is what I'm going to say in total transparency, right? Growing up, I felt the church was God and I felt like I had to do everything for the church, not separating God and the church. The church was God, right? The church was God. And I felt that I had to do whatever they wanted me to do, I had to do it. The answer no was never in my vocabulary, and it could not be in my vocabulary because if it was, then people would begin to judge me on how saved I was. Now, whether or not that was truthful, that was my thought process, right? And then I later found out as an adult, mind you, I'm 50 now. And as an adult, I found out that the church cannot identify or define who I am as a person. And when it's time for me to take a break, guess what? I'm going to do just that. We have to remember that when I spoke about the hierarchy of God, family, and then the church, our family comes first, even before the church. Yep, pastors who feel like anytime somebody calls, I can't send anybody out to go and answer that call for me. I got to be the one to be at the every program at the church. I got to No. We are approaching summertime. Summertime is nice weather, cool breezes. What are you going to do with yourself? That's my question. What do we do it? What are we doing? What are we doing? Self-care is finding time to take care of self. One thing that I've learned, even as a therapist, is that I can't expect anybody to take care of me. I got to know my limits. And we're going to talk about boundaries, a little later. All right. It might even be today. Who knows? But we are going to talk about boundaries because without effective boundaries, right, you don't know what you would do, but I can guarantee you that you're not taking care of yourself. Now, I dug a little deeper, right? And I was like, well, why is it that people have so many difficulties dealing with self-care? And I'm going to probably step on a lot of toes right now. And I apologize. I love you like the love of God, right? But at the end of the day, what I found is that people who struggle with self-care are individuals who really don't want to look at themselves. Yeah, they don't want to look at themselves. So what does that look like? Um, you got to be able to deal with you and sit with you. You got to be able to identify what you like and what you don't not like. And it has nothing to do with the church. I absolutely love traveling. I love it. I can take an hour away from here, 2 hours away from here. I can get on a cruise and I am at peace, right? I could even go to a church convention, right? And be at peace. But there has to be some time in there where it's just me. I am by myself, or I'm doing exactly what I want to do that has nothing to do with the church. Why is it so difficult for us as people of leadership to separate from the church? I don't know. But I really, I'm going to challenge you guys on that. I'm going to challenge you because, you know, it is it is okay to be selfish for you. And I don't mean that in a condescending way, right? I think that it is important for you to figure out what it is that you like that has absolutely nothing to do with the church. And I know for some of y'all, that's like blasphemy. I get it. But I remember growing up and, people talking down about the movies and talking ill about swimming, just nonsense is what I call it now. I absolutely call it nonsense because I'm so grateful that I have had the opportunity to know God for myself, right? And know God and his boundaries he has for me. Because just like I have boundaries, God, he has boundaries with me too, right? And the way that he treats me may be a little bit different than the way he treats you because he knows how to get my attention, right? But we have taken on so many different others' theology that we have forgotten to just live life and have fun. With this fun, you can have good Christian fun. You really can. That has nothing to do with church. I'm so grateful that um I found out, me and God have we got our own business going on. And my philosophy is until he convicts me of it, there's nothing that no human can say to me that God has not already told me. And I think sometimes we have pulled back from really taking care of ourselves because we're so worried about what others think. I don't know. I mean, I could be right or I could be totally off, totally wrong, but I am going to really challenge the pastors and challenge their families, right? We have to be able to pull back because I know some PKs who are in PKs, preacher kids, y'all. I know some PKs who they grow up resentful, right? Because they don't feel like they have had to have, they've always had to share their parents with everyone else. And it doesn't help when the parent, which are the pastors or the church leaders or whatever, don't take the time to be with their own kids, right? Especially if you could be a PK who is into football, basketball, any sport, right? And if it came on Friday night service, let's just take football for instance, because football was always Friday nights. And if you playing football and your parents are saying, well, I can't come because I have to come to church, at what time or at what point do you say, you know my kids matter enough for me to just chill with them? And guess what? The church will go on. Um, I don't know, y'all. I'm really just really having this conversation because we are at a point where you can't say that didn't nobody tell you, because I'm sitting up here telling you to take a break with your kids, take a break with your family, take a break for yourself, because you are, if without practicing self-care, let me explain this really, really good, right? When you do not practice effective self-care, burnout comes into play. All right. And when burnout comes into play, you mad with everybody. And get this, you may not want to admit it, but you even going to be mad at God. Now, I don't have no problems with people being angry with God, because you talk to him, tell him about all your troubles. He'll hear your faintest cry. He'll answer you by and by. It's okay to be angry with God because he can handle it, but you can't be angry with him when you could have prevented it. Just saying. I'm just saying. Um, Really and truly take some time for your family, this summer. It's always a hustle and bustle when you have children and they're in school, and different things are happening, and we're trying to, figure out school and what to do. But while you have time, when they're not in school, even if you got college kids. I got a daughter in college, and but my grandkids are always trying to get over here, and I don't know, just you got to take time out for what makes you happy. But that's also a challenge, because now you have to figure out what makes you happy. And sometimes that can be a daunting project of figuring out what exactly makes me happy. One thing that makes me happy is just putting my feet in some sand on a beach. I'm happy, you know? And maybe another way to look at it is, what do you need to do that your peace isn't disturbed? What keeps your peace? Your peace within. What keeps you? And if you want to say, reading my Bible, that's fine. For some people, that is, I love to read my Bible. I love to study, but then there are days where I don't want to. I don't want to. And and it's okay. That doesn't make me any less of a holy woman of God. It doesn't make me any less than anything. It just makes me human. And I really want to challenge your humanness in yourself, right? It's okay, you guys. Take a break. It's okay. I met a pastor, and he explained to me that the best time he had is when he took a sabbatical for about a month. I think he said about a month. He took a sabbatical from church, and he did nothing but just regroup. And listen, I wish more of our pastors did that. But see, this is the killer, or the thing that we have to realize. In doing that, you have to prepare your church for that.
You better preach.
And when you are a leader, an effective leader prepares their church for the next phase, no matter when it comes.
Well,
So you got some work to do if you haven't done that. Because like I said, I manage, a treatment center myself. And if I did not prepare them for when I'm not there, then am I an effective leader? Not. Um, because they have to carry on without me being here, and it has to be okay. You cannot think that you're the only one that can bring the word, and you're the only one that can pay the bills, and you're the only one that can pray for people and be for people. Because why did he call any one of us? Why? He called us as well. And I am not a pastor. And I tell people that, and I hope I'm very transparent with that. I'm not a pastor. However, I am an elder in the church. And if you don't trust an elder, and you're the pastor, and you don't trust the elder, then why do you have them in leadership there? What's the point? What's what's the point? You have to take care of you. And if you do not take care of you, it's like, eesh, I don't I don't I don't know how to convey the message the more. But this is your public service announcement, right? That if you have not thought about taking some time with your families or yourself away from the ministry, and it doesn't have to be months on top of the end, but you got to learn how to digress. Please learn how to digress because you're going to be okay. And when you are rejuvenized and you've had some really good self care and you have that regimen going, because it's not a one time thing, by the way. Self care is something that is done on a consistent basis. Back when my bones was all right, because it seemed like I break something every other week, right? I love to do African dance, right? And I knew that one day a week, that's what I was doing. And that was my self care. And I began to look forward to doing that one thing one day a week, right? You have to find that thing and keep it going, right? So this is not a one shot deal. Even some women love to go and get their hair done, and that's a part of their self care regimen, right? And you remember, I'm saying a part of it because that is not all of it. Even if it means that I do, 10 minutes of just walking or jogging or going for a brisk, that can be a part of self care. Believe it or not, taking a long, hot bath can be a part of self care. It is just allowing you time to digress so you can recenter yourself and then push forward. All right. So don't think of those words as self care being such a bad word. It's not a bad word. And it's okay if you want to be selfish with yourself for 10 minutes a day. I mean, we're not asking for big, long things to do, right? You might, part of your self care regimen might be just listening to jazz. Okay. You don't have to just listen to gospel music and think that you're going to hell if you listen to anything else. I disagree with that. I'm not saying that you got to listen to stuff so vulgar or whatever, but I'm not saying that me listening to jazz or instrumental jazz is going to take me to hell. Think again, it's about theology and what your theology is, and at the end of the day, you have a personal relationship with God, and God will convict you if he feels like you're doing something out of the will, right? He has his own conviction for you. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying go out there and sin, but what I am saying is you got to take time to take a break. You got to. You got to. We are living in perilous times where life just be life and y'all. And it comes at us so fast. And if it comes fast to us and we are God's chosen vessels, right? It's coming fast for the congregants in your church. And if you are not rested, how in the world are you going to deal or help your congregants deal with some of the life stuff that they be going through? Self care has a lot to do with you recharging because you do have a job to do. And that job is to make sure that you are pouring into the sheep that God has assigned you to. But it's difficult to pour into people when you are hurt yourself, or you're tired, or you're broken. Just saying. It is time for us to take time to really and truly start investing in ourselves. Please, 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 let's start to invest in ourselves so that we have a better understanding on how to help others, right? Well, I'm not going to preach to nobody. I just want to challenge each and every one of you under the sound of my voice. I want to challenge you in taking some time to yourself. Even if it's 10 minutes to steal away, take some time for you because we can only recharge by actively doing self care. You guys have a blessed day, and I will catch you on the other side. Again, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a good day.